Hi, everyone, and welcome to the June 22nd session of our Spencer 2023 Summer Series. These weekly career sessions are geared towards college students, recent graduates, and high schoolers who are also welcome to participate. My name is Tandeka Nambete, and I'm the Director of External Engagement at the Spencer Educational Foundation. Spencer is a nonprofit organization that supports future leaders of this industry, and we support numerous initiatives that help attract students into our industry and provide experiential learning opportunities. So if this is your very first time joining one of our sessions, this is a totally chilled and relaxed environment. And we encourage you to take full advantage of this opportunity and to learn as much as you can and to network with everyone that's in the virtual room with us today. So just a few housekeeping items as more people are trickling into the room. We would love it if you could all turn on your cameras so we can see your beautiful faces. This is a great time to go and grab a clean shirt and put it on and say hello. We do encourage interaction during these sessions, so please feel free to ask questions. The easiest way for you to do that is just to unmute yourself and to ask the question that's on your mind. But if you're not quite comfortable doing that, I totally get it. Please feel free to use the features within Zoom so you can raise your hand. Your screen will pop up right to the top, and that way we'll be able to address your questions as they come in. Throughout the session, I will be popping various links into the chat box, so please keep your eye on the chat box. I will send links to LinkedIn so that you can follow the company, so that you can connect with Spencer and connect with the wonderful guest speakers that we have here today. So with that, we do have some super duper awesome guest speakers with us. We have Seven Stone, who is a talent acquisition specialist at Amwins, and we have Jennifer Shearer, college relations recruitment specialist at Amwins. So Jennifer, Seven, I will hand it over to you to please share your screen and also tell us a little bit more about yourselves.
Absolutely. Well, just want to start out by saying hello, everyone. I'm in Seven Stone. I am a talent acquisition specialist for Amwins. Now, at Amwins, we're a wholesale insurance firm, which may sound a little stuffy on the surface, but I promise we do the fun and exciting stuff. So super excited to be here with y'all today and to help you out. So like she mentioned, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. We're super excited to connect with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Shear. I am also here with Amwins. I'm part of the college recruiting team. So we specialize more in internships, training programs, and early development. So if you do have any questions, please let us know. Seven and I have been in this space for many years, so we can definitely help with any tips or tricks or advice that you've seen in the past or questions you weren't really sure how to answer. We're here to help you through the process.
Awesome. So we will go ahead and jump right in. There we go. So we have some resume tips for college students and recent graduates. If you're job searching soon, kind of looking to get things going, we have a few tips that we'd love to share.
So one of the many things to remember when creating a resume is there's no right or wrong way to do it. Resumes are very subjective, but as long as you can make it clear and concise to the reader, which is usually the recruiter for a company, remember they see thousands of resumes every week, every month, every year. So you want to be easy to read within seconds or minutes, as well as stand out. Like the resume is your time to really shine, put that first impression on before you even get to meet someone virtually or face to face.
Absolutely. And along with your resume being, clean and simple to read for us as recruiters, also making sure to keep your resume updated as well. Often when you're living your life, you're out in your career accomplishing amazing things, you'd be surprised at how easy it is to forget all the wonderful things that you have done. So when you see it all on paper, it's actually really exciting to see it written down. So as you accomplish things, try new things, and gain new experience, make sure that you just keep tacking that on there. Have it saved onto your computer. When something great happens, go ahead and put it on the resume. You can always tailor it later or tweak it, but it really helps to keep track of all the great things that you've done.
And this isn't just limited to school projects or professional experience or even part-time jobs. If you have volunteer work or case studies or anything that reflects who you are as an individual, put that on your resume. It helps you stand out, helps you show that you are involved in multiple areas and you're really able to apply those skills you learned through those experiences in different environments. So, in addition to your standard name, contact information, graduation date and year, have different sections for yourself. Have that professional experience. If you're still in school, we're not expecting you to have that. Just put anything that you do part-time, or if you don't even have part-time, anything you can do as like a group project or anything you did in school, put that on your paper and how can it apply to the job you're applying for. Also, make sure that you are able to really reflect who you are. I know I mentioned this already before, but this resume is your chance to shine before you're able to shine in person.
Absolutely. And once you get all of those incredible things on there, you definitely want to make sure that you proofread it. You want to make sure that all those amazing things that you put on there are really able to stand out without any spelling or grammatical errors. And we get this as professionals as well. We proofread each other's emails all the time. Sometimes when you stare at something for so long, you invest so much time in it, everything just kind of blurs together in your brain and you have a hard time keeping track of those errors and kind of pinpointing things that you could tweak. So finding someone that you trust, it could be a peer, or even better, maybe someone in a similar industry that you want to go into who can give you that great feedback and maybe catch some of those errors. So once you get all of those great things down on there, make sure you proofread it too.
So this is where we kind of get a little bit more tedious when it comes to reflecting your resume to the job you're applying for. What we advise is have a standard resume on hand, one that you can apply to more common jobs like customer service. But if there's a little bit more niche, tailor your resume to that job you're applying for. One of the tips we like to say is go to the job description, have that up next to your resume. Look for the keywords in that. If there is a lot of emphasis on having skills, put that in your resume. Put where you've learned Excel, where you've used it, how proficient you are with it. Really be able to reflect that job description and your past experience and current experience. A lot of times recruiters do look for keywords. So this is definitely a tip to kind of get your resume to stand out a little bit more by having more keywords.
Definitely. And depending on where you're at in your career with your education, it might be at this point that most of your experience is education based. And as Jen mentioned, that's okay. We understand as recruiters if we can see your education on your resume and those expected graduation dates. We don't expect that you may have, decades of experience behind you, but you can definitely play up on your education, talking about the relevant courses you've taken that might be relevant to the job that you want to do. Focusing on any clubs or organizations where you've built skills from that. You can definitely hype up your education and focus on that on your resume if you don't have as much of the practical experience, because education itself is great experience and it does take up a lot of your time.
Absolutely. And a couple of these bullet points are things we've already talked about in the last slide, but one thing that really stands out that Seven and I as recruiters both love to see is quantifying anything on your resume. So if you had a job in the past where you had deadlines that you had to meet, put how long those deadlines were, put numbers to it. If you can put numbers on your resume, it helps us understand your workload, what you're capable of doing. Are you able to hit those metrics? Are you applying for a job that has metrics, whether it's a sales position or you have to bring in leads, whatever it may be? Having some numbers on your resume really helps us try to figure out if this is a position that would work for you in the future as well. In addition to the quantifying wherever possible, action verbs are a huge plus. We love to see them. We love to hear you talk about it in the interviews themselves. So anytime you have an option to do action words, definitely add them in there.
Absolutely. And of course, reverse chronological order. So when we're looking at a resume, we want to make sure that right at the top, we're seeing what you're most recently doing. A lot of times that's what's maybe going to be most applicable to what you're applying for now. So we really like to see the evolution of who you are as a student or who you are as a professional. So if we can see, where you're at now, and then we can follow back from that, how you've grown over the years. That's really exciting to see, and it also looks the cleanest on a resume. So just make sure that you're using reverse chronological order with your most recent experience at the top, and then working back from there.
At this point, does anyone have any questions? We're bringing up the sample resumes, but I know we just kind of hit you with a lot of information there. Does anyone have any thoughts, opinions that you would like to go over?
Yeah, Hannah's got a question. Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you for being here. This is all really great. My question is, like, for under the experience section, is it true that you should only have about like 3 experiences so you can expand on that? Or if you have a lot of experiences that might be relevant to the position, would it be helpful to see like 4 or 5, especially for like recent graduates who may have more, but just don't have room to expand on them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, I hate to say this, but it is very subjective. There's no right or
Okay.
wrong. I would base it on the position you're applying for. So if you think that it can relay over to the position you're applying for, add the extra experience. It just helps you be able to talk to more of your experience. There's no limit of how long your resume should be. Average rule of thumb, if you're still in school, 1 to 2 pages. If you're about 10 years into your experience or after graduation, about 2 to 3, but I would not go past that. If you don't mind me asking, how long are you out of school?
I just graduated, so yeah.
Well, congratulations. That is
Thank you.
exciting.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I would say 1 to 2 pages. If you are
Yeah.
really able to elaborate on that experience, that's definitely a good thing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome. Seven, do you have anything to add there?
That was beautifully put.
Awesome. And Jasmine has a question as well. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I just wanted to find out when you're giving a description about the roles you've been in, I know you have to put them in action words. What if you are currently in a role? Will it have to be in like past tense or present tense? Is sometimes get a bit confusing. Like if you are in a role now, would you say collaborate with, or will it be collaborated with? If you could please help me with that.
You're absolutely right that can be a bit confusing on how to phrase that. And I think it all depends on if you're currently in the job or if it's a job you've done previously. I'd say for something that you're doing currently, you'd want to put present tense. So what you're doing in the moment. I am accomplishing this now. I am regularly achieving this metric goal. So you really want to put it in the now to show that recruiter and hiring leader, here's where I'm at now. I'm accomplishing these goals in the present. And then for any prior roles, that's when you can use past tense. There's still things that you've achieved, but you'll just say, well, I did achieve this. I was able to accomplish this. So if it's in the now and it's something you're doing currently, you'd want to do present tense, but it'd be past tense for anything that you've done in the past.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Those are fantastic questions. Any other questions out there on anyone's minds about resume structure, what to add, what not to add? All right. And if you do have questions, just feel free to use the Zoom features and raise your hands. Fantastic.
Wonderful. And as Jen mentioned earlier, we have a couple of these sample resumes up on the screen. And again, everything is subjective and they're just samples, but to give you an idea of what a clean resume would look like, something that's easy to read. You'll notice they're both similar, but slightly different. They may have things in certain places. It all really just depends on what you want to play up. One of them has the education at the top. So Becky Business there may be more of a recent graduate, while Tony Technology on this side maybe has that a little bit further down and is going into his qualifications. So just to give you a good idea of someone who's maybe more recent in their career, someone who's a little more established. They're slightly different, but at the end of the day, they're just both clean, simple, easy to read.
A few things I would like to point out. especially just because I went through this at the graduation state. I wasn't really sure how to organize my dates. By putting them to the far right side, this is very easy and concise, very, to the point. We are able to see as readers of the resume, what were you doing when you were doing it in a chronological or reverse chronological order. And then on Tony Technology, I also love seeing technical skills. Obviously, as recent graduates or currently in school, you probably won't have as many, but that's where you can change it to volunteer experience or great hard and soft skills. It's just nice being able to see it broken down so we know what your background consists of.
So I have a question about resumes and resume formatting. What are your thoughts on color? Because the two resumes that you have up here, are black and white, but what are your thoughts on introducing color to resumes? And what are your thoughts on headshots? I'm seeing a lot of resumes these days where people are including their headshots. What are your thoughts on that?
Seven, would you like to start with that?
So I always like to say it's industry dependent, right? It really depends on the industry that you're going into. So if you're going into something that's very creative, marketing, visuals, I would definitely say that you want to play up those skills on your resume. I guarantee that a hiring leader in those roles is going to be looking at your resume almost like an example of your work. So that's where they would want to see you shine in those design skills. They'd want to see some flashy colors. Maybe they would want to see a headshot there. So it's really thinking about your industry that you're targeting, maybe doing a little bit of research in terms of Googling, seeing what others have had success with in your industry. But if you're doing something very creative, I would say that's where you'd want to play up on those designs. If you're going into something maybe more business oriented, like insurance as an example, that may be where you want to stick to more of the simple, clean colors. But if you want to jazz it up a little bit, I say there's nothing wrong with a little navy color, a little blue or something like that. If you want to just maybe make it a little different if you don't care for plain black. But I think it's really industry dependent.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I see Amanda has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you again for your time today. But I have a question related to like the location that you put for each experience. So if you're working in like a hybrid or a remote role, is it important to include that, or is that not really relevant?
That is a great question and something we've definitely been seeing more of since the pandemic. I personally like seeing it because if you're applying for a position in Tampa, Florida, but your resume currently says as far as position location, Kansas City, Missouri, I'm going to wonder what's going on. So if you're not actually in those locations, or if it is hybrid or remote, I would put next to the actual title, like you see in Becky Business, the marketing internship, I would just do parentheses, hybrid or remote, currently located here. That just helps us understand a little bit more of your situation. Something we did forget to mention earlier when it comes to going about resumes is if you are applying for positions where you're currently not located, you don't have to put your whole address. You see in Becky Business, and she has the whole thing written out. You can put looking to relocate to Tampa, Florida, or currently looking for positions in X, Y, and Z, or open to relocation. If that's what you're really open to, is just kind of anywhere. Again, that helps the recruiter or hiring manager know where you're located, what you're looking for. Because a lot of times we do see resumes for maybe a Charlotte, North Carolina position that's in person, everyone getting resumes from Santa Monica, California. Obviously, different sides of the country, not really sure what's going on. So we'll probably look at local residents before looking at those across the country. So that just kind of helps, again, us understand the full picture. So if you are looking to relocate or looking to be in a different area where you're currently not, just put that on the resume.
Thank you.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you. Yeah, any other questions out there? All right, not yet.
Alrighty. We will keep trudging along to the dreaded interviews, something we all loathe, but we all have to go through to get that dream job.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that it's never easy, especially in the beginning, especially before you start to own your own skill sets when it comes to interviewing. But just remember, we all started in the same place as you. We all had to go through this process. We understand how it is, especially if you're nervous or if you stutter because all you hear is your voice talking in a quiet room to someone else. That's okay. We sat on the other side of the chair, same way you did. So we understand it's okay to be nervous. We still get nervous talking to new people as well. So it's always something to keep in the mind when you start this process. But our biggest advice to individuals is prepare for the interview. Do your research, not just on the job you apply for, but on the company, on the interviewer. We love getting questions of like, how did you get into this company? What are your thoughts on this company? We see you've been here 3, 4 years. Like, it's great when we get candidates who do the research because it is more of a conversation versus us asking a question, you responding with an answer, and that going over and over again. It's easier when it is a flowing conversation.
Absolutely. And it definitely helps with those nerves too when you go into it knowing I'm prepared, I know about this company, I know a little bit about this role. And I also know some of the things I want to ask and that I may be asked, which jumps into that next point of preparing answers to commonly asked questions. Like Jen said, you get nervous when you're put on the spot. Anyone does in an interview, but having some things that you can tie back to in your head that you know more than likely you're going to be asked in a job interview really helps to calm those nerves. In almost any interview that you're going to have, they're going to ask you things like, why do you want to work for this company? Or what intrigued you to this role? Tell me about a time where you made a mistake, a challenge or conflict. Tell me about a success. These are really common questions that get asked in interviews. And even if they're not all asked in the same way, you can have kind of general experiences you've had in the past to draw back on, some general answers in your head just to help keep you engaged and keep those nerves from coming into play too much.
Absolutely. Greatly put. And then on the flip side, there's obviously going to be questions you're going to have for the interviewer. And it is always hard to remember exactly what you want to ask. So we advise take a pen and paper with you, write down keynotes that they've said, and also have questions ready to go. That way you don't have to keep trying to cram everything in your head because it is a nerve-wracking environment. You don't want to forget something, especially if that's something you really wanted to know about the company or the position itself. So just have those questions prepared. It also just shows the interviewer that you were excited about this position, you did do your research, and you really just wanted to know more besides the standard job description that was given out to everyone. A great way to also practice interviewing is speaking in the mirror. The more used to your voice you become, the better and more comfortable you become throughout the interview. Like I said earlier, we all get nervous. That's just part of life, especially when you are in a conversation with someone new and you just hear your voice. So if you start practicing, whether it's directly into the mirror or while you're driving, just get used to you saying these answers and questions out loud. You'll become more naturally comfortable. Seven, do you want to go into the star methodology?
Yeah, absolutely. So the star methodology, I think we're going to get into it a little bit in the next slide in the specifics, but it's basically kind of a system you can use when you're answering behavioral questions. So you'll notice a lot when you're interviewing that behavioral questions are becoming very, very common in interviews, especially for those like Fortune 500 companies. They really want to hear about how you can draw on your practical experience either in the workplace, in school, in life, and how you problem solved on the spot, how you work through things. So we're going to delve in a little bit deeper into what that STAR methodology stands for and kind of how to put that into practice. But that's definitely something you probably want to put on your radar as something to explore as you're starting the interviewing process.
And then in addition to that notebook and pen that you might want to consider taking into the interview, I also suggest having several hard copies of your resume in hand. You don't know who's going to join the interview, you don't know who's seen your resume, so it's just better to be prepared, have a few extra ready to go. That way, the interviewers aren't just sitting there like, what's going on? What's your background look like? They have it ready to go with from your you supplying that.
And here we're jumping into a broader overview of that STAR methodology that we touched on earlier. So it actually stands for situation, task, action, and results. So this is going to be the core of any behavioral response that you give to a behavioral question. Those questions often seem so open-ended. There's so many directions you can go with it. You want to give them all the detail that you can, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you keep it concise. So if you can prepare some of these ahead of time, this helps to keep your answers short and concise, but it makes them impactful. That's really what you want, is to give an impactful answer. So when you started out at S, we're starting with situation. And this is really where you're just setting the scene. So let's say an interviewer asked you, tell me about a time where you had conflict with a fellow student or a coworker, but you had to work with them on a project. How'd you get through that? Well, you want to start by setting the scene for them, but you want to keep this concise. You don't have to give them your whole life story and background of everything that tied into it, but you just want to give them an idea of where you were at, how the situation got started, so you can launch into your broader response.
Yeah, very well said. Something to remember when setting up your STAR answer is keep it positive, especially in an environment where you're placed in a lot of group projects and you usually have maybe a team member here or there that's not necessarily pulling the weight. It's okay to say one team member wasn't always present, but this is how we overcame this. This is how we were able to find a positive result for the rest of the team. Really take those situations, turn them to a better outcome than what it started with. So, as long as you keep everything positive and find the good in things, yes, you might have had someone that wasn't pulling the weight, but how did the rest of you work together to overcome that action, overcome that task, and really end up with a great result?
Absolutely. And as you're working through the task and action portion, a great way to kind of hack into that positivity side is just to focus on your responsibility, what you did. Never hyping up too much on what others maybe did or didn't do that they should have done, but really focusing on your personal responsibility and ownership of the situation, which is always going to lead you into that result. And like Jen mentioned, you probably want to end it on a positive note. Even if it didn't work out exactly how you intended, it's okay to have situations where you tried something and it didn't work out. But what you can tell your interviewer is, hey, I tried this, and while this didn't exactly go how I intended, I really learned from that. Here's what I learned, and in the future, here's how I'm going to handle that a little bit better. Sometimes that's even more exciting as an interviewer to hear, because we know that human beings make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect in any job that you have. But if we can hear that you can make those mistakes and actually think critically about it, learn from it, and improve going forward, that's the marker of someone who's probably going to be a great employee.
Very well said. Very, very well said. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to answer behavioral questions, but if you're able just to stay on topic of STAR, like Seven said, through all those steps, you will have a successful interview. Right. So, some additional tips to having a successful interview is the obvious, the things that are probably drilled into you from a very young age is being punctual and dressing for success. I always like telling people it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. Even if a company says they are business casual, that's okay. You might want to come ready to go with maybe a jacket or a tie and just show that, like, yes, I am excited about this. I am taking this seriously, but it also just shows that you are respectful of everyone's time, being there 15 minutes early, not getting there at the time it starts. It also helps you kind of shake those last minute nerves out, not scrambling to get through the door, not scrambling to figure out how to find parking for the position. It just gives you a little bit more breathing room.
I love that. And I also want to mention with the Dress for Success portion that we completely understand that the world is changing. And in this modern workplace, you want to show your personality a little bit too when you show up. So I know that, the old school way, maybe so to speak, was, always wearing the navies and the flat colors and, trying to keep things neutral. But don't think that dressing for success doesn't mean that you can't show your unique personality and who you are. If you like a nice, shiny purple tie, wear that purple tie. That's who you are. If you not like a nice shiny blouse, you want to show your personality, that's okay too. So don't think that you have to be someone you're not when you dress for success. There are definitely ways to kind of tweak it and put your personality in there and still be true to who you are. Awesome. And
Absolutely.
the basics as well, I guess, greeting the interviewer with a handshake, eye contact, and smile. People are always looking for positive people they want to work with. They want to work with happy people. So when you show up, it's great to greet them with a handshake, eye contact, give a big smile, just show that little bit of your personality.
And again, I know we mentioned this earlier, don't be embarrassed if you're nervous. We've all been on the other side of the interview. We all know that it is nerve-wracking. And sometimes just stating like, I'm sorry, I'm nervous, or if I come off stuttering a little bit in the beginning, I'm nervous, that also kind of helps everyone feel a little bit more laid back as well. We understand that nerves are natural. They're always going to happen. Seven and I still get nervous doing interviews. We both get nervous doing these topics as well. Like that's just human nature. So sometimes just stating it helps everyone feel a little bit more relaxed. Also, one thing to really remember when you're getting into the interview is focus on what is being presented and said to you. Make sure it's not a one-way interview. You are also interviewing the company and the interviewer. You want to make sure it's a two-way fit, not just a one-way fit. So just really focus on what is being presented to you. One thing we like saying all the time is when you ask questions to recruiters, how are they answering that? Are they excited to answer your questions? Or are they kind of a little bit more hesitant, trying to think of how can we play on this to make it sound better than it is? A lot of the times, Seven and I love hearing the question, what makes you excited about this company, or what makes you stick around? And we both just go on tangents talking about how much we love, not only our jobs, but the company and the opportunity it presents to everyone within the organization. And you can really hear the excitement in other people's voices and the energy they give off. So if you're getting warm feelings, great feelings from that, it's a good sign. If you're kind of getting red flags here and there, definitely listen to that. See if this is really a company or position that you want to pursue.
Awesome. And Riley has her hand up with a question. Go for it.
Hi, I just wanted to say, thank you for your time today. Recently I have noticed that a lot of interviews are taking place virtually. So is there any advice you could give that maybe you haven't already gone over for in-person interviews that would apply specifically to a virtual interview?
Yeah, so
I
that's
love that you. Oh, Jen, go ahead.
No, that's all you, Seven. You do more virtual interviews. That's all you.
I was just going to say, Riley, I love that you brought that up because you're exactly right. Virtual interviews are becoming much more common. And while there are some similar core pieces, there are some things that are different. And one of the first things that stuck out in my head when you mentioned that was prepare for technology issues. That is the first thing that came to my brain is anything that, can go wrong, probably will when you need it to go right? So I would definitely prepare for any technology kind of snafus. Something I kind of recommend as like a side tip, if you're using a new program, let's say you're used to Microsoft Teams, but your interview is going to be through WebEx. See if you can maybe try to set up a meeting ahead of time with a friend and use that platform ahead of time so you know where things like the mute button are. You know how to actually join the meeting. If you decide to do that only with a few minutes to spare before your interview, not only will you be a little bit nervous and you'll be panicking trying to get in there and maybe be a little bit flustered, but again, those things that can go wrong usually do with a system you're not prepared for. So just kind of a pro tip, if you could set up maybe a little fake meeting ahead of time just with a friend to get used to the system, but also give yourself plenty of time. I set up a lot of virtual interviews for hiring leaders, and sometimes I've seen candidates hop in 30 minutes early and they message, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I made it here. That is totally okay. That is totally okay if you need to pop in 15 minutes earlier, a little bit sooner than you would in person, just to account for those technology issues. So that was just the first thing that came to my brain. Things always come up when you least expect it.
And another trend we've actually been seeing with the virtual interviews is sometimes it's not even face to face with a recruiter or hiring manager. Sometimes it's a recorded question answer format. So, one thing I definitely recommend to individuals that are interviewing in that format is right off the bat, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us why you're intrigued about this position and what made you interested in pursuing it. That kind of helps set the tone for the rest of the interview that we're going to be watching as far as you recording yourselves. And it usually makes yourself a little bit more comfortable with the situation because it is kind of awkward at times just recording yourself talking to yourself in a camera about an answer that was virtually asked. So definitely practice ahead of time as well. It is a little nerve-wracking and uncomfortable in a new format like that. So if you have multiple takes that you can do, definitely utilize that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And then another important thing to remember when interviewing is tell the truth. If you were asked a question that you didn't necessarily know how to answer, it's okay. Let us know, like, hey, unfortunately, like I haven't been in a situation like this before. This might be how I pursue it or I handle it, but it might not be accurate because I haven't been there. That's okay. Or if you're telling us a story, make sure it's accurate because usually most of the time once you get into a job and you say you had the skill set and it's time for you to do it and you don't know how, that's going to come to light. It's better to know these things up front so we can help you work through that or learn them than it coming back later and just showing like, okay, like this isn't the best match we thought it would be. Also, it's easier to remember things you said when you're not trying to remember if you lied about things. So it's always easier and it's better to tell the truth no matter what it is in the interview process.
Absolutely. And especially if you're starting out early in your career, you're a young professional, there probably is a lot that you don't know quite yet. And an interviewer is going to anticipate that, but that's not a weakness on your part. If anything, that's a strength. You want to show them, I'm excited to learn, I'm eager to learn. That is one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing we look for in an entry level candidate. We can teach you, anything that we need you to know, but are you excited to learn it? Are you passionate about it? It's never a weakness not to know something, but what we're really looking for at the end of the day is, are you excited to learn and are you willing to put in the effort and motivation to actually get things done? So never be ashamed of what you don't know. And like Jen said, don't lie.
That is
Yeah, it's
fantastic advice. And I'm so glad that you guys, pointed that out. I think it's really important for all the young professionals, right, that are here with us today to understand that as you're applying for entry-level job opportunities, like the companies are not expecting you to know everything, right, about risk management, insurance, actuarial science. So, I think that's a really important point to stress is just to be honest and to tell the truth, during the resume process and especially during the interview process as well.
absolutely. We do anticipate that. And a lot of companies have the materials in place. They have training programs for the students. They have everything ready to go. And if you find yourself in a position that doesn't necessarily have those materials for you to be able to thrive and excel, that might be something that you might want to ask during the interview processes. What materials is there for me to personally learn and grow, not just during the training process, but through the first couple of years of my employment? And if they don't necessarily have something and that's very crucial to you, have some more interviews. Find companies that might be a better fit for you. It's just the first couple of jobs in your career, it's more important to be a sponge, learn as much as possible, figure out what you want to do with the rest of your career, than getting the high paying salary right off the front. You want to make sure you're setting yourself up for longevity, not just what is the quick solution.
I love that. And on keeping things on that positive note in the interview process when you're interviewing for those jobs. I know we touched on this, but make sure you're never talking poorly about others. You want to make sure you spin everything to a positive note. And that kind of ties into telling the interviewer how interested you are in a position and company too, keeping that positive note. There is nothing wrong with being enthusiastic and being excited about an opportunity. That's often something recruiters are really looking for and potentially scoring you on in an interview is, did they tell me they actually were interested in the job, that they liked this opportunity? So never be ashamed. It's not strange or weird to say, I love this industry. I was so excited when I found this job opportunity. I went and found your website and I read everything that I could. That's really exciting to hear. So you definitely want to pursue those opportunities that you're genuinely excited about, because that's going to come across in your interviewer or in your interview, and we can really hear that enthusiasm.
And finally, after the interview, follow up with the interviewer. Again, it just reiterates that you're interested. You were, interested in the position, you want to continue through with the process. So whether it's just a quick email or message on LinkedIn, just showing like this is something you want to pursue, you're excited about it. And a lot of times, especially as interviewers, if it's not the right fit for that position, we keep your notes on file. We see that you did follow up, that you're interested. And a lot of times that helps us help find new positions for you. So you never know what just that simple 1 to 2 sentence, thank you for your time, very interested in this company position, what that can lead to you in the future.
Absolutely. And a lot of recruiters tend to recruit in, different areas, at least we do at our company. So I definitely keep people in mind for other positions, whether something closes or it wasn't a fit for a particular team. When you send that follow-up and you put that little extra flair on it, you really stick out in someone's minds. When those other positions come around, like Jen mentioned, you're probably going to be one of the first names that pops into my head. And I'll remember, that person, they were so nice. They sent that follow-up email. I wonder if they're still on the market. And then I'm emailing you, calling you, are you still available? So it really makes a difference, and it really makes you shine. It's not weird or embarrassing. Connect with them on LinkedIn, send them an email, thank them for their time. You're probably going to be in an industry that's going to be very small. Everyone tends to know everyone. Even if an opportunity doesn't work out right now, I almost guarantee your paths are somehow going to cross again in the future. So always leave it on a positive note.
Wonderful. Any questions, whether it's resumes, interviewing, tips and tricks, or just advice in general?
I'll ask one quickly. Let's say that you pick up a resume for the first time or it's someone's first interview. What makes each of you want to learn more about that particular candidate?
So personally, I'm usually the first round of the interview. So at this point, I'm looking for more personality than skill set. Is this going to be someone who is eager to learn, who's going to be coachable and be fit with the company for more than just that first position? So if you are eager in your interview, you came to the table asking questions, showing you did research, you're engaged in the conversation back and forth, that's really going to help you stick out. Even if it is your first job, first position, again, we don't expect you to have a lot of experience. We are here to help you through the process. So if you're doing your part of the process, we're going to really try to get you through as many rounds into the right team as possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm just going to go into a little bit about Amwins, since all of you are interested in insurance or risk management, or might just want to learn a little bit more about it. We are a company that you don't typically see driving down the interstate or on commercials. We're kind of more behind the scenes, but our objective is to really focus on our employees and our clients. And one of the biggest ways we do that is through our 150-year vision. We recognize that the people are the ones keeping the company going. They're the ones that are keeping the industry going. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for them. Right now, we're in year 22. We have grown from 1 employee to about 7,000 employees over the time frame. We've gone from being almost bankrupt to now being the largest property and casualty specialty wholesaler in the nation. So We've definitely learned a lot over the last 22 years, but we don't want to just stop there. We want to keep going. We want to keep improving and helping our employees be able to thrive and succeed. And that's what made our team create the 150-year vision. So we do look obviously at the people as the number one thing, but we also check the performances, what's going on in the market. Obviously, the last couple of years have been very hard just with the pandemic and a lot of markets, especially in Florida, pulling out. But that's where a company like Amwins really is able to take a step back, figure out how can we continue to help our clients? How can we continue to help be successful? And that's where the product excellence comes into play. We are subject matter experts. We are the ones that they go to when a risk doesn't fit nicely into a box. We're the ones that get creative, innovative, to where we can eventually get that product placed with certain markets. We've actually helped markets get created from the bottom up. We have teams that specialize strictly in ski resorts, cannabis, pandemic, even equestrian. We have teams that are strictly dedicated to each of those niche markets just because they are harder to place, but they're also experts, the ones that are really able to dig deep and get creative to help our clients continue to insure their clients. So a lot of moving pieces, but we are dedicated to helping everyone involved succeed and come out of the hard or soft markets. And then culture and diversification are two of, I think, the most important pillars to this vision. And I'm actually going to let Seven talk to this because she is starting to build this out for our talent acquisition team.
Yes. So from, a diversity, and inclusion piece specifically, that ties huge into our culture here at Amwins. We really believe in being welcoming and inviting to everyone. We want our company to be a reflection of the industry that we work in. The industry itself in insurance is changing, filled with people from all different backgrounds, walks of life who have something to bring to the table. And so we really value that here at Amwins, and that's something that we love in our culture. When you step off that elevator at any of our offices around the country, you're like, I'm at home. These are my people. Everyone's excited to see you. They're invested in you. And that's something that's so unique as we're talking about this 150-year vision. It seems so ambitious, but that's the kind of people we are. We're super ambitious. We really believe in what we're doing. And that's not just in our C-suite at our company. That trickles down to everyone at every single level. We all have this in the back of our minds as a goal that we're all working towards. And, I have to say they do a great job at making us all see how we're a part of that. And again, that culture ties into it, and knowing that no matter who you are, where you come from, where you started, whether you intended to get into insurance or you fell into it, as so many of us seem to do, you know that you're truly a part of it and you're valued and that you bring something to the table. And I just can't speak highly enough. I love it so much here. We say we're Amwins lifers. We're not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. I love hearing the enthusiasm from both of you. It's awesome.
So that brings us to all of you. Where do you fit in? Right now, we have about 115 locations nationwide. So truly, you could find a location anywhere you currently are interested in being in. We have different levels throughout the organization, starting at internships. We recruit all levels, not just soon to be seniors. If you are a first year and you're interested, we want to have a conversation with you because one summer it might be brokerage, the other summer it might be underwriting. Internships are your way to really figure out if this is the path you want to go. It's very non-committal. It's 2 to 3 months out of the summer. They are paid here at Amwins as well. So that's something definitely to remember, that your work is going to be rewarded. You are a part of the team, even if it's temporary. You're going to be invited to the lunch and learns, the team bonding events. You are an Amwins employee. And then it really is just a great way to gain exposure to the industry in general. All of us started at some point, whether, like Seven said, falling into it or started at internships and now are producers throughout the years. We all had a start, and that was learning how to spell insurance. So throughout the summer, it's not just going to be data entry and getting people coffee. It's really going to be able to see, what is a day to day like as a broker or an underwriter? What does this environment have to offer as far as materials to learn and grow? Exposure to industry professionals. A lot of the times we actually like taking interns to 1 or 2 agency visits so you can see how the relationships are formed, how they're developed and maintained. And who knows, maybe through that industry visit, you might realize like you want to be on a different side of insurance, or you're able to meet someone who you can continue to network with. Insurance is very small. There's a lot to do within it, but all of us cross paths multiple times throughout our careers. So internships are just a great way to start that exposure through school, very non-committal, but a great way to see if this is the path you want to take.
Absolutely. And something I'll say that's so exciting about internships at Amwins is we don't force anyone to take on an intern. Teams request interns. They really want to be involved in that process. We want to make sure that anyone who has an intern on their team, they're genuinely committed and excited about it. So like Jen mentioned, an opportunity to really connect with some leading industry professionals and to really get what you want out of that experience. We understand that you may go a different direction in your career, but we want to make sure no matter where you go, you've gotten something out of this experience that you can take with you and that you can be a sponge. We have leaders who love questions. They want to hear all your questions. What do you want to know about the industry? What can they show you? What can they have you do that doesn't require a license yet? So you can get your foot in the door. So it's just such a great opportunity to work with teams who are so passionate about helping people in their career.
And also, internships are a great pipelining opportunity. Last year, Amwins, or summer 2022, Amwins had about 120 interns nationwide. About 50 of them have either accepted full-time offers with us or are coming back for another year of internshipping. So it is a really good opportunity to can start your career, build your career, and see where that takes you.
And of course, we have plenty of entry-level opportunities as well. So if you're looking to jump into your career and start full-time, we also have those opportunities available nationwide. As Jen mentioned, we have about 115 locations. So no matter where you are, there's probably an office somewhere close to you that you can find, and lots of different opportunities, whether you're interested in the underwriting side, you want to be more behind the scenes, you're a little bit more technical, or maybe you're a salesperson, you're a people person, you like to build relationships. You may be interested in an opportunity with brokerage. We also have an access division, which does kind of a combination of both. They get to hold the pen, so to speak, and underwrite, but they also get to do a little bit of sales. So we have plenty of opportunities no matter your personality, your interests, as well as here in Charlotte is our headquarters. So we do have some of those other opportunities like accounting teams and HR opportunities, marketing. It's really all about what you want to do within the industry. So I know we'll have our contact information up soon, but if you have any questions on that about locations, opportunities, we are always here to answer those for you.
And then before we get into the questions, I do like to mention, if you're an individual who really wants to continue your education, build a strong foundation before maybe launching fully into your career independently, we also have training and development programs. We have one within underwriting that's a 2.5-year program that teaches you how to underwrite from start to finish, as well as how to sell. And then we have one that does more specialty risk that's about a year long. So there are structures in place for individuals who want additional education, so to say, before just jumping into their first job. So there's a lot of opportunities. Those are also nationwide. If you have any questions about them, please let us know. They will be getting launched in early August for the following year. So for June 2024 start. Alrighty, any questions?
No questions yet. Awesome. Well, we have a couple of minutes left in this session. So I think we'll wrap this one up. And then for anyone that wants to hang on and chat with us for a couple minutes, we will be here. So thank you so much to our guest speakers who are here with us today, Seven and Jennifer. We truly appreciate it. For all of you, if this is your first time here, we host these sessions on a weekly basis during the summer. So next week's session is going to be Thursday, June 29th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Our presenting company will be Westfield Specialty, and we're going to learn about brand and career management. So if you're not quite sure where to sign up, visit our website, go to the resources tab, and click on Spencer Webinar Series. Thank you so much for your time.